we talked for half an hour, and you really should listen to it on the podcast if you missed it. Mark Joffe from the California Policy Center, and we pay double the electricity price than the rest of the country. Right, double. The rest of the country pays 18 cents per kilowatt hour. We pay 32 cents. The rest of the country pays $2.91 a gallon for a gallon of gas. We pay $4.60. $4.60 to roughly $2.90. And for electricity, it's 32 cents per kilowatt hour to 18 cents. And it's all because of Newsom's climate change policies. Well, we just talked with Mark Joffe for an hour. He and his research partner, Edward Ring, has looked at 100 years of records and found there hasn't been climate change. You go back to 1925, it's the same average precipitation, the same average temperature, the same average humidity. So we're not overheating. We're not drying out. We have the normal rainfall. It's just that within the 100 years, this is normal for California, you get wild swings. You'll have a couple of years of intense rains, and then you might have several years of dry weather, and everybody starts screaming drought. And like you said, the way to deal with that is we ought to have reservoirs built and desalination plants, since we have that big Pacific Ocean sitting out there. But we don't do that because we're stupid. Now, we've been telling you the gas could potentially go to $8 a gallon because oil refineries are closing all over the place. In fact, we've had 3 of them close recently. The Valero plant in Benicia just closed. The Phillips 66 plant in Wilmington just closed. The Phillips 66 plant, Rodeo, closed in 2024. You had the Marathon plant in Martinez that closed in 2020. You had a plant close in 2012. You had a refinery close in 2008. There's only 7 left. And we used to have 43. So we are now importing gas and oil from all over the place. Oh, yeah, our main oil pipeline in the state shut down in the last few weeks because of a lack of oil. Newsom will not let oil companies drill for oil very much here in California. So we're buying oil from far-flung nations all over the planet, and some of it's being shipped to the Bahamas, and they're refining the oil into gasoline in the Bahamas, and then they're sending the gasoline on tanker ships through the Panama Canal and then up the coast to here in Los Angeles. Well, what are we doing that? We have the oil underground here, and instead it's coming from Iraq, getting refined in the Bahamas, and then being shipped here. We're using the same amount of gas and oil anyway. So they held a hearing. Ashley Zavala from KCRA, Channel 3 again, covered this thing and put out a series of posts on Twitter. And she said the vice chair of the California Energy Commission spoke today in a hearing on the refinery closures. And Siva Gunda said this is not going to be a smooth transition. Gunda, who's a man, that was the start of the hearing. That this, you know what that means? We're going to have shortages of oil and gas. So you know what that means? The price really is going to go way up. And they had one nut there. Let me get her name. State Senator Caroline Menjivar wants to know why demand isn't decreasing. Why aren't we seeing more of a transition? Why aren't there more oil refineries closing? And because we need gas and oil or we don't have a civilization, not a modern civilization. You believe this? I'm like, they're not closing fast enough for her. And Siva Gunda said, well, the state demand for gas is declining maybe 1% a year. It's still very high demand. Demand for aviation fuel is increasing. But the oil companies don't see a return on their investment. So they're shutting refineries. But there's no major reduction in our needs. And you have this idiot, Caroline Menjivar. Why aren't there more closures? Well, there will be. I mean, Valero decided to take a $1 billion write-off because Benicia was costing too much money. And then Menjivar, and this is another one of these communists, she said, well, what about having the state own the refineries like they do in Norway? Oh, here it comes. Can you imagine Gavin Newsom running an oil company? Or all these communists in the assembly running an oil company? That's what she wants. And Gunda says it's been part of the discussion. Can you believe this? The state ran out successful oil companies. They've closed the refineries. And now these Sacramento politicians who are really intellectual vegetables say, well, what if we own it? Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. You put the state government in charge of the oil industry. Well, that'll completely destroy the economy. But maybe everybody ought to get out of here. And then there's this other idiot, Henry Stern, and asks, is this really all California's fault and not all these other outside forces? Look at the price of gasoline in this state. It's $4.60. Look at the price of gasoline in every other state in the union. It's $2.29 in Oklahoma. It's $2.44 in Iowa. It is $2.54 in Texas. It's $2.58 in Kentucky. It's $2.70 in Ohio. Michigan, it's $2.91. New Jersey, it's $2.93. New York, it's $2.99. Illinois, it's $2.98. Yeah, it's just us. It really is just us. We have really screwed this oil industry up, and they're closing shop, and they're getting out. Well, when is more going to close? Why isn't demand going down? How did this happen? They're completely economically illiterate. Absolutely illiterate. One Senator Valdez, asked, is demand collapsing? And Gunda says, no. No. Said Valdez, so are we creating a system that will be unstable and volatile? Yeah. We already have that. That's why we're paying $4.60 a gallon, and the rest of the country's paying $2.90. And they're doing it in plain sight, and you see it every day when you gas up. I guess maybe what people don't know is that you go to all these other states, there's 41 states where you can buy gas for under $3. This is not a Republican or Democrat thing. This is not an East Coast or West Coast thing. This is the rest of the country and us. And they're paying an average of $2.90, as low as $2.29, and we're paying $4.60. Northern California is $5, and it's going to get worse. It's us. It's our government that all of you elect. I don't vote for these people. I'm exempting myself.